Hello and welcome back to All the Mods 10. And in today's video, we're going to take a bit of a break from modern industrialization. I want to start thinking about getting some endgame items now. But to start thinking about those endgame items, we're going to need to go back into Forbidden Arcanus and upgrade our initial altar to tier 5. Now, as it stands, we have the altar at tier 4. That's what we needed to get the alloy Allthemodium blade. But this time, we're going to need to max this one out, and to max this one out, we're going to need the following items. 2 dark nether stars, which is fairly simple to get. It's just obsidian steel and nether stars. We're going to need 2 dragon scales. We're going to need 4 skulk catalysts and 1 full stellarite block, which is the most annoying bit because stellarite is really hard to find. But once we've grabbed those items, we actually need to fill up the altar with aura, blood, souls, and experience. And once we had done that, we could finally place all those items on the pedestal with the stellarite block in the center, and we could give it a tap with the gavel. Ritual circles will start spinning, and then a red thunderbolt will come down, strike the altar, turning it into a tier 5. Now, this is not the only time we're going to need to do this, because to make the runic star altar, we actually need the automatic variation of this forge. And the way to make the automatic variation of this forge, we actually need a tier 5 forge. So technically we need 2. We need 1 for the actual altar itself to make the automatic variation of the forge, but it also requires tier 5 altar inside of that crafting recipe, so we're gonna have to make another one. Now, this isn't absolutely difficult to do. Again, we can just break our tier 5 altar and basically start all over again by putting a smithing table down and giving it some mundabitter dust, and lightning will strike it, giving us our tier 1 altar. Then we can upgrade this straight to tier 2 by giving it some arcane crystals for spawner scrap and giving it an edelwood plank in the center on the actual forge. Once we have enough of the essences that we need, so the aura, blood, souls, and XP, we give it a tap with the gavel and we'll upgrade it to tier 2. And again, we can go straight in to tier 3. Now, to get it to tier 3, we need 4 diorum ingots, 4 arcane crystals. Instead of the edelwood plank this time, we need a chiseled polished darkstone. And once we've got enough of the essences, we give it another tap with the gavel and it will get upgraded to tier 3. And with no messing around, we'll go straight to tier 4. To get to tier 4, it's just chiseled polished darkstone in the center on the forge with 4 ruins and 4 stellarite pieces. Give it a little slap with the hammer, and within a few seconds, it becomes the tier 4 altar. And while we wait for the aura to generate, let's go make the rest of what we need to make the automatic forge. Some of these items we already have. For example, we already have the polished darkstone. We already have the enderium gears and the mundabitter dust. However, we do not have the Z logic controllers. And we need a very special machine, that which I did make off camera. And that is the Slice and Splice from Ender.io. This was very simple to make. It was just basically some solarium, a head, and soul chassis, iron bars, and energized bimetal gears, which is just energetic alloy. And once we'd got that, we threw some shears and a axe in there with the certain items of 2 solarium ingots, a head, 2 silicone, and 1 redstone. And that would make us 1 Z logic controller. We had to do this a second time. And once we had got that, we were almost ready to make the automatic forge. We just needed to wait for the aura. But once we had the aura, we threw in the exact same items that we had at the start of the video into forge. So the stellarite block, 2 dark nether stars, the 2 dragon scales, making sure they are the right dragon scales, and 4 skulk catalyst. Give it a slight tap with the hammer and we'll get a tier 5 forge that we'll be using for the recipe. And there's one more final block that we need to make the automatic forge, and that is the quantum injector. And that, again, we had to use 5,000 aura, which took a while to generate. Once we got there, we were able to just tap the forge with the gavel and managed to give us quantum injector. Now that we have the quantum injector, it was just one final recharge, hopefully, and then we could start setting up the automatic forge. And after quite some time, we were ready to make ourselves the automatic forge. So we threw in our tier 5 forge, our 2 Mundabita dust, our 2 Enderium gears, our 2 Z logic controllers, and our quantum injector, as well as the final polished darkstone. However, this little circle didn't show up, meaning this ritual wasn't actually ready. Why was that? It was because we didn't have the correct upgrades in the tier 5 altar itself. Now, I do have all the upgrades for this. It was just a case of grabbing them from wherever they were from. One was in my ME system, one was in a chest in the mining dimension, and one was in the big blast furnace from Forbidden Arcanus. So we just grabbed all them, threw them all in to our tier 5 forge, and we were ready to rock and roll. Give it a slight tap with the gavel, and out popped our automatic forge. Lovely. Which also means we get a pretty insane reward. And I can't lie, I was hoping for the vibranium jetpack here, but unfortunately we did not get it. We got 8 Allmodium blocks, which isn't terrible, but got that being automated, so it really doesn't matter. Anyway, when it comes to the setup of this structure, I'm going to be setting it up in the mining dimension. Why? Because I don't really want any mobs getting to this at all. That's what we're going to do. And the first block we're going to place down is, in fact, 2 polished darkstone, leaving a 3-gap space in the middle. And in the middle of that 3-gap space, we're going to put our automatic forge. And then let's fill in those other 2 gaps with arcane polished darkstone. And then we grab some stairs and we place 3 of them down, come around to the backside of the stairs and place another 2 on the backside of the final stair, making sure our 2 end ones are curved back out, and we repeat same thing on the next side. So we'll put 3 polished darkstone down with a gap in between them, and filling in those 2 gaps we'll use some arcane polished darkstone. Same thing with the stairs, and repeat until you join it back up. Now, inside of that square, we're going to place 1 layer of polished darkstone going right the way round. Then once you've done that, inside the smaller square that we have made, on all 4 corners, we're going to place a ruin block. And simply fill in the rest with polished darkstone. Now we can start the second layer. When I did the second layer, I put the arcane crystal obelisks on the ruin blocks, but that is wrong. We want to put them on the diagonal block in between the ruin block and the stair, so right in that corner, and you do that for all 4 of them. You do fix this later on, don't worry. We also want to grab some stairs, and from the middle block where our automatic ruin is, we're going to place 1 stair there and another stair either side, and then put 3 slabs in a pattern like this, making an L shape. And then we can copy this on all 4 sides. Then I had to refer to the quest book quite a lot here, and on the back of the stairs we place in 3 full polished darkstone, and then on that center one we placed in a gilded, chiseled, polished darkstone, and we can do this on all 4 sides, making sure that we put 2 polished darkstone either side of the gilded, chiseled, polished darkstone. then we should get left with a square. And in those 4 corners of that square, we're going to place some more gilded, arcane, hot, chiseled darkstone. And then we can fill in the rest with polished darkstone, leaving a plus sign dead center. Right in that center of the plus, we're going to place another gilded, chiseled, polished darkstone. However, that's as far as we can go, because we actually need to do another forge to get another quantum injector for this build. And I only realized that because I hovered the wrench from modern industrialization over the automatic forge, and it came up with the rest of the blocks that we actually need to place down. However, before we get into the final forge, there are 4 blocks to fill in that plus that we can throw in quite easily, and they are just chiseled, arcane, polished darkstones. And with everything thrown on the final forge of today's episode, we'll give it a slight little tap with the gavel. Once it had finished forging, we could then actually pick up the remainder of the pedestals and our tier 5 forge, bring them over to our altar, and on top of the gilded, chiseled, polished darkstone, we could place our darkstone pedestals, making sure we leave the very center free for our forge, and leaving a 1 gap space above the forge, we can put our quantum injector. And now that that is done, the automatic forge created. However, it doesn't create blood, experience, aura, and souls on its own. We do have to set up some automatic processes for that and feed them in, but we're not going to be doing that in today's episode. Make sure to subscribe so you get a notification when that episode goes live, because we'll be doing all 4 processes in one video. But thank you all for watching today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Goodbye.